Well, public hearings are getting underway in Washington today as part of a mandatory review of the Canada-U.S. Mexico agreement, also known in this country as CUSMA. 3 days have been set aside for the hearings, which are part of the preparations leading up to the formal review of CUSMA that will start in July. Ahead of the hearings, a number of American industries have been urging the Trump administration to preserve the agreement and to remove tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico. Joining me now is CTV News U.S. political analyst Eric Ham. Eric, thanks for being with us.
It's good to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Let's get into this, shall we, too? We know that this is one of the steps, too, in this timeline leading up to the formal, review and renegotiation, probably, and likely, if you will. What are you expecting from some of these hearings, and what are we going to hear from U.S. industries today?
Well, today, this is what's called a public forum. So this is an opportunity for the U.S. trade representative to get feedback from a wide berth of communities here in the United States about the impacts of the CUSMA agreement, and more importantly, what it means to consumers as well as the industries and the organizations that will be providing testimony and feedback. This morning's session mainly will focus on American intellectuals and U.S.-based think tanks that will provide factual data about the CUSMA agreement and what it has meant to not only the U.S. economy, but to the region writ large. Later in the afternoon, we're going to hear from a wide range of American industries, including organizations representing energy, farming, manufacturing, and the like. And they, too, will also provide information. So this is going to be a very full day of hearings and testimony that we will hear from a wide range of organizations. But what I suspect that we will hear from all of these organizations is actually hailing the achievements and the successes of CUSMA. And I suspect that the overall takeaway will be, how can we strengthen it? How can we make it better? Nothing about its detriment or that it should actually be deleted or eliminated.
Okay, so again, yeah, in reading about this, it certainly feels like a lot of industries are supportive of this. It's been, we've had decades of free trade and many different agreements in whatever form they might have taken. The wild card clearly is Donald Trump. And, this has to go through this process. But, and it's impossible to predict what the president is going to do. But do you believe that, some of this is just going to be, I don't want to say ignored, but that, that Donald Trump is going to do whatever he feels best and possibly use this renegotiation, as a negotiating tactic?
Absolutely. And the biggest negotiating tactic that the president has right now is the ability to walk away from the agreement. Now, we of course, much of the information, again, from today and over the next subsequent sessions is going to be factual data that will be provided. And that factual data is going to show just how beneficial the agreement has been for the United States as well as the region. But again, what we know from the president himself is it has not been about necessarily what is good for American consumers and what is good for our allies and partners. It is, how can the president continue to make matters worse for Canada? Because again, the president's goal is for Canadian subservience, not for economic integration, strength, and growth among the region and the U.S. and its allies.
And you believe still, Eric, before I let you go, we've talked about there's job losses happening on this side of the border. We talk about a steel plant that is, losing and cutting 1,000 jobs, the automotive industry. But consumers south of the border and in the U.S. are also starting to feel this a little bit, but still not affecting the Trump's position. It doesn't feel like yet.
That's right. And even though we know the president has capitulated and reversed on a number of tariffs, none of those tariffs have actually been specifically related to Canada. We have seen capitulation on tariffs for Brazil, even for Mexico, but not necessarily for Canada. And again, I think what that means and what that tells us is the president still has a level of ire against Canada that he just simply doesn't have against other allies, and more importantly, other countries in the region and the rest of the world.
CTV News U.S. political analyst Eric Ham. Appreciate your insight, Eric, as always. Thanks for this.
You bet. Thank you.